Hello guys, what's going on? My name is Sam, or Chaotic, and welcome back to another GTA 5 video here on my channel. Now in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the all-new Jester Classic and comparing it to the original Jester and the race car variants, both of which have been in-game now for 4 years and were added back in 2014. So how exactly does the all-new Classic variant compare to the original Jester? Very quickly though, before we jump into things, let me know right now which is your favourite and do you think is best out of these three, so go ahead and leave a comment. But let's first of all start things off with some background information and the prices of these three cars. So the original Jester was added in 2014 in the business update and listed on the Legendary Motorsports website for just $240,000. Then later that year, Rockstar released a race car variant of this in the Festive Surprise update for $350,000. This car being almost identical in the terms of appearance, but is a little faster and comes fitted with a livery from standard, which unfortunately cannot be changed or removed. And then of course the all-new Jester Classic that's now available in GTA Online. This car is a lot more expensive than both of these. In fact, you could buy both variants of the original Jester and still have money left over. The all-new Jester Classic costs $790,000 to purchase. So it's certainly a lot more expensive, but do bear in mind, both original variants of the Jester were released 4 years ago. Since then, the cost of vehicles in online updates have become more and more expensive over the years. Speaking of which, if you guys were in need of some money in GTA Online to afford the new Jester Classic or any new car, I've got something pretty cool to share with you guys. Because for this video, I have partnered up with Swagbucks, an awesome rewards platform where you can get paid and receive gift cards, shark cards, and much more simply by watching videos, answering surveys, and stuff like that. And right now they have a special deal going on. When you sign up and fill out your first survey, you'll receive $5 straight away. It's very simple and straightforward. I have used them and promoted them numerous times in the past and helped loads of you guys over the years get free shark cards through Swagbucks. So if you guys want to get started, click the link in the description. And by the way, thank you to Swagbucks for sponsoring this video. Anyway, moving on though to the customization next of all three of these cars, and again we'll start things off with the original Jester. Now this car is pretty customizable for a vehicle that released in 2014. There's a great choice and loads of variation for this vehicle, with the option to change out the front and rear bumpers, fitting a splitter and diffuser. Both options are pretty awesome and just make this car look even better in my opinion. You can also change out the exhaust as well if you want to, although I prefer the stock exhaust this car comes with. And as you guys can see in the gameplay, I chose red as the primary and secondary colour for this car, although it looks great in pretty much any colour you choose. This car also has a roll cage option, which as you can see, if you select the second option, roll cage and race modifications, adds a lot more than just a roll cage on the interior. This option adds loads of exterior stuff and just makes this car look even better than it already is, with vents on the hood and the fenders, a roof scoop, loads of pins and clips around the car. It just looks awesome and it's definitely an option I would recommend fitting when customizing this car. You can also add rear louvers to this car as well, which looks pretty awesome, and there's a few different skirt options too. Plus of course, you can also fit a spoiler to this vehicle, although it looks pretty good anyway without one, but I chose the color-coded wing. Anyway, but those are the customization options available for this car. Some pretty nice and really cool customizations in fairness, which like I said, is pretty impressive for the car's release date in 2014, because since then, Rockstar have made many improvements and changes to the custom shop, with newer cars having a lot more customization choice than there was back then. This car though looks great both from stock and even better when fully customized, and that's why this car still remains to be one of my favorites in the sports category. Now as for the race car variants, well, all the customization options available for this are the exact same ones available for the standard variants, so we won't go through those again, and instead we'll skip it and move on to the Jester Classic. Now this car of course in real life is based upon the Toyota Supra, a car which is very popular and well known to be customizable and modified. This car though in GTA 5, although yes it is customizable and there's plenty of choice, there's not quite as much variation and choice as I thought there should be or would be when Rockstar was adding this into the game. Sure, you can change things such as the front bumper, and there's a few different choices. You can change out the rear bumper and fit a diffuser as well. You can change out the exhaust, but really only ones that are similar to the stock style. And you can change out the hood as well, You can also fit a roof scoop and stuff like that, but honestly, I'm really surprised Rockstar didn't make this car a Benny's Original Motorworks vehicle. This car should be and kinda needs to be a Benny's car, because like I said, the car it's based upon in real life is a lot more customizable and is well known for being customized than what this is in GTA 5. And for that reason, I'm quite disappointed, as I'm sure many of you guys will be, especially those who are looking forward to seeing the Toyota Supra being added in GTA Online. Don't get me wrong though, this car is still customizable and there are some pretty nice choices as well available for this. I just think it should be a lot more customizable and have a lot more options than there currently are in-game. And I feel like Rockstar just got a bit lazy when it came to making this and adding it to GTA Online, hence why there aren't more options, or maybe it's not a Benny's vehicle. But there is one thing I want to very quickly point out whilst customizing this car. Right now there is a bug with this vehicle, so when you go and tint the windows, it also tints the rear lights, as you can see. Now the exact same thing takes place with the supercar Rockstar added into the game 2 weeks ago, the Overflood Tyrant. When you tint the windows on that, it does the exact same thing. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just a bug, and I'm sure Rockstar will remove this from the game in the next update. But until then, if you guys want to try out this feature, if you like this sort of thing, then definitely go ahead and tint your windows and enjoy that whilst it lasts. Anyway, but let's move on now to the performance side of things for these three cars, and we'll start things off with the top speed of each three, with the Dinka Jester having a top speed of 118 miles an hour in a straight line and on the flat. Now it's worth noting it gets to 100 miles an hour pretty quickly, but from 100 to its top speed of 118 takes quite some time, as you guys can sort of see in this gameplay, and usually hovers around 116 and 117 miles an hour and struggles quite a bit to get to the 118 points. Now as for the race car variants, as mentioned before, and as I'm sure you guys know, this car is a little faster, but its top speed is only 1 mile an hour more, 119 miles an hour, but its acceleration certainly feels like it's a lot better than the standard Jester, getting to its top speed a little faster. And then finally, as for the Jester Classic, now surprisingly this car's top speed is 119 miles an hour, the same as the race car's variants. And in fairness, this car's acceleration is pretty good too. So let's compare this by doing some straight line drag races at the airport, running from one side to the other. Now of course, all three cars in this will be fully customized and upgraded, and again, as you can see, we'll start things off with the original Dinka Jester. Now like I mentioned before, this car gets to 100 miles an hour pretty quickly, but beyond that it takes quite some time to then get to its top speed. In fact, this got to 100 miles an hour roughly halfway or so into the drag race, but by the end it only got to 111 miles an hour. Its time was 23.36 seconds. Which, if I'm honest, isn't too impressive. If you compare that to most cars in the sports category, it's fairly average. It's certainly not up there at the top in the terms of its straight line speed. Now up next, we have the Jester race car this time, and like I said, this car is a little faster off the line in the terms of its acceleration, and it does get up to a higher top speed a little faster as well. By the end of the drag race, it achieves 113 miles an hour, and its time was 23.12 seconds. So it is faster, but not massively. Now finally, as for the Jester Classic, now with this being a classic and older variant of the Jester, you might expect it to be slower, especially seeing that with this update there are loads of performance issues with all the new cars. They're all slower than they should be, but despite this, the Jester Classic was faster than both variants of the Jester, with a time of 22.23 seconds and hitting a top speed of 115 miles an hour. But straight line speed isn't everything, so next we're going to take a look at the track performance of these three cars, of course using the same area that I use down at the docks in all videos like this one. Now it's worth pointing out, I am not a professional race driver in GTA 5, I'm not particularly good when it comes to racing, and I'm sure I could have made some improvements on all three laps that you're about to see. But this is what I found whilst driving around. Now, as I'm sure you guys know already because the Jester has been in-game now for so long, it is a great car to use. It's easy to control, its handling is good, and in fairness, the acceleration on this isn't too bad either in track situations. Its lap time was 37.19 seconds. Not too crazy, not up there with the supercars, but certainly decent in the sports category, with it being one of the best that you can use from the category. But as you should expect, the race car version of this is faster because it is a little faster both off the line, in a straight line, and its handling is slightly better as well. This thing had a time of 37.04, so it was a whole second faster going around this track, and it certainly felt that way as well whilst driving it around. Again, this car's handling is pretty good, it feels very easy to control, and would definitely be one of my recommended choices if you wanted a fast sports car that's not too expensive from the category. Moving on though to the final vehicle, the Jester Classic. Now it's worth pointing out this car is in the Sports Classics category, which of course means in races it will never be up against the original Jester or the race car variants, as it's in a completely different category. But as I found out last week in a video that I uploaded, 10 things you need to know about the Jester Classic, this car was faster around a track than the Turismo Classic, which previously was the best car and fastest car you could choose in track and race situations. But as you're about to see, it doesn't beat the race car variant of the Jester, putting in a time of 37.06 seconds, which makes this a whole second slower than the race car version of the Jester. It is though faster than the standard Jester, but only just. And this result is most likely because of the performance and the handling flags that Rockstar have imposed on all the new vehicles in this update. Once Rockstar fixes that with the next update, we might see a slightly different result, with this car being just as fast, if not faster, than the race car Jester, which you may or may not want to see or agree with, but there we go. So there we go then guys, with that being said then, that is it for this video. That's how the new Jester Classic compares to the original Jester and the race car variants. Again, I want you guys to leave a comment on this video right now. Which do you think is best and which is your favourite? If you guys could also drop a like on this video as well, it would of course be greatly appreciated and it helps me out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because I upload all the latest and the greatest Grand Theft Auto 5 content. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.